Hi guys, we are here with Tui. That's right, Tui, right?
Yes, Tui.
Nice. As a Frenchman, I was sure I would destroy it. So we are here with Tui. She is a vegan fitness coach. That's what you said, that specializes into helping women achieve their fitness goal or even go beyond their fitness goals while using a plant-based diet. Is that right?
Exactly. That's exactly it.
So tell me this. You were saying before we started recording that you've been vegan for what, 5.5 years now?
Yes, I've been vegan for a little bit over 5.5 years. And yeah, still going strong.
Were you, let me ask you this, were you fit beforehand? Or is that something that happened through you making a switch to a plant-based diet?
I thought I was fit. I mean, I was, like bodybuilding, and I was lifting heavy, and I had big muscles, and I was bulky. And honestly, when I went vegan, I thought I'm gonna lose my gains. Like I thought I'm gonna be, hard time to have protein, hard time to keep the gains. But what actually happened, I started to get really lean, and I started to recover faster so I could train more, and I started to get leaner. And then I actually realized what it is to be fit. And I've just been getting fitter like all the time, still getting fitter and stronger. So the switch to a plant-based diet, I think, played a massive role into reaching that body that I wanted and reaching like a better performance as well.
Were you bigger than now back then, or very similar size, just leaner now?
I was a couple of kilos heavier, but if I would show you a picture, you probably wouldn't recognize me because I was like much more puffy. Like it was that weird, bodybuilding type that you could see like muscles. I had kind of abs, but like my face and everything was like bloated, which
Yeah.
I was so used to that I only realized it once it went away that, oh shit, like I had quite a lot of like extra kind of fat around all those muscles. So
I
yeah.
don't know what it is. What it is about being vegan that just cuts down the puffiness. The water retention doesn't seem to be there. I'm almost 40 years old, still have abs. I'm in better shape than most 20-year-olds by far, and I don't work out harder than I did back 15 years ago. It's still the same. It's really just the diet makes the whole difference, right?
Yeah, I think it's like also the inflammation that animal products cause in your body is like, because
Yeah.
if you eat mainly whole food plant-based, it's like really alkaline. And also because the volume is high, but the calorie density is lower. So you get to eat much more, and it's almost hard if you eat like a balanced whole food plant-based diet and you exercise regularly. It's almost hard to like become overweight or have excess weight when eating a healthy plant-based diet. So like the funny thing is, Nico, like when I was eating on a omnivore diet and I was training hard, I was like squatting heavy, I was hitting the gym like 5-6 times a week, and I thought I was eating clean, right? So I was like pumping myself up with animal protein. I was like eating tons of dairy products and meat, and I was like on eggs, like I was like every single meal. And the reason I went vegan wasn't like anything related to performance or health. Like I just saw a slaughterhouse video and the ethics, I was like so shocked. I was like the blindfold was ripped off, and I was like, okay, I don't want to support that system. So I had no other choice than to go vegan. And I was like, okay, bye body, like all these gains are going to go away, like I'm going to lose my muscles. But then the cool part was like I started to educate myself, and I started to find out about, like, at the time there were not that many like athletes, but like some triathlonists and like endurance athletes, and I started to actually find out about the possible performance and health benefits. And then I got excited. I was like, wait a minute, can I actually not only like having to compromise on my performance and health, but could I actually benefit from it? And then I started to experiment, and I started to see all these benefits. So that was like super cool.
There is a big misconception about vegan athletes, right? Because looking at you, there's no way in hell the average person would say, yeah, that woman lives off plants. Do you often get, you always get the surprise, right? When somebody actually sees you eat and it doesn't compute in their head that you're not eating meat. It doesn't make any sense. It's impossible to have a nice body when you do not eat meat. Does that still happen to this day? Do you still get that all the time?
Yes, Yes. So I'm also a CrossFit athlete, right? So
Yeah.
the CrossFit world is really like paleo zone diet. Like
Yeah.
it's all about,
Yeah.
when you go to CrossFit gyms, often they have this sentence like eat meat and vegetables. So the first thing you see is eat meat, right? And the CrossFit mentality is really strongly still in that kind of caveman mentality. And I get a lot, like when I started CrossFit, it was horrible. Like people were literally telling me that I'm stupid, that I can't perform as a CrossFitter on a vegan diet. And they were like, you're compromising my performance, you're compromising your health. And I was like, I'm freaking gonna show you. So I got like just motivation out of that. Of course, in the start, I was a little bit doubtful. Like I didn't tell anyone, but I was like freaking out inside. I was like, what if they're right? But then when I started to like realize that I'm actually performing better, and nowadays people literally search me and want to be coached by me because they're like, the CrossFit coaches tell them it's impossible. And then they find me on Instagram and they're like, well, this lady is like performing really well and she has like muscles and she's vegan, so it's possible. And yeah, I that's like my biggest motivation, to show people that you can perform well and you can be perfectly healthy and freaking fit as a vegan. So I think it's showing by example. It's the way to go.
Uh, there's one thing you just said. I got to take that back. You called yourself a lady. You're not 50 years old. You can't call yourself a lady. You're not that old.
I
The
mean, ladies, is there an age limit?
I know in North America, when you call somebody a lady, she's normally more advanced in age. Let's say it that way. She's a bit
Okay,
on
I
the
didn't
older
know about
side.
that.
Well, it might be a
Okay, yeah,
North
I'm
American.
28, 20,
Oh yeah,
29
so
already. I'm 29, yeah.
well, you weren't sure. Eh? The what would you say your biggest thing was when you first changed? Is it the inflammation? Is it the puffiness? What's the first thing that changed?
Like in my health and performance,
No, mostly how you felt, because
how I
before
felt.
you before you look any different, you're gonna feel different, because the
Mm-mm,
look will take time, right? But you feel
mm,
good right away. Like as soon as you got
mm.
over the first week or so, you get over it. Like you feel very good
Yes.
about yourself, right? What was the first
Yeah.
thing that you noticed?
That was also one thing. Like, I didn't know that feeling this good existed, because it's like, if you're like an alcoholic, I think like if you're constantly a little bit tipsy or hangover, you don't remember how good it feels to be like freaking sober on point. So I felt like that was what happened to me when I started eating plant-based. I ditched the animal products. I can't remember exactly the time frame. Like I did it gradually, but when I started to be fully plant-based, I think it was like the first couple of weeks, I started to feel so much more energetic. And the biggest thing for sure that happened was I felt like everything started to clear. Like I felt like I had been in this kind of fogginess in my head, like even my thinking. I felt like suddenly I could see so clear. I could like think so clear. I was so full of energy. I didn't have to nap. I got rid of my like joint pains and my like aches in my body, because I was training hard, right? I was lifting heavy weights already. So I started to just feel so clear. And then my skin cleared up, my body, literally all the fat started to clear up. So I felt like the whole system just cleared up out of all the shit.
What made you do it? We all have a reason why we decide to do this. What was yours?
So I said I saw a slaughterhouse video. So
Mm,
I was aware at some level that it's, in my opinion, it's wrong to abuse and kill animals. But I was kind of like living in this fairy tale world of like, yeah, but they're like happy grass-fed family farms, and like that kind of.
of
And then
course.
I was on, yeah, as everyone, right, before they go. And then I was on Facebook and I came across this series of like activist videos, and
Mm.
something was just like, okay, let's just stop this like lying to myself. And I started watching. It was just a couple of first seconds, and I was like, that was like my shield broke, and I was like, okay, like this is absolutely wrong and horrible. Like I'm not gonna pay a penny to this system. And I said, like, I went purely for ethical reasons. And then I was even like ready to just compromise my performance and my goals and my, even health. I was like, maybe I'm becoming like a skinny, unhealthy vegan, but whatever. Like, I think that system is so wrong that I'm willing to do that. And then like really soon after that, I started to like really get into educating myself and got really obsessed. So I started to find out about the like environmental side as well. And that was also a big motivator. And then I got into the health and the performance benefits. And then it actually became like this like spiral of positivity, because I was just like win, 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 win. Like everything just started to make sense. And everything was just like, I felt like I actually just gained so much by switching plant-based. And to this day, I feel like there's like nothing that I had to compromise or give up on. So it's just been like an amazing journey.
What was the last thing? Was there one thing that was hard to give up? Is there one thing that you really had trouble not eating? Or once your mind was made, it was just done, nothing else matters, it is what it is?
I feel like I often get asked that question, like, do I ever
Yeah.
miss anything? And for me, it's almost weird, because I feel like when I see meat or dairy or eggs, I just see suffering. Like when I
Yep.
smell in a restaurant, I just see death. I just see like, I see where it's coming from. Like I feel disgusted, like in the sense of like, because I know what it took for that piece of animal protein to get on the plate. So I wouldn't eat that even if someone would pay me. So for me, it's quite soon after, like when I saw the slaughterhouse videos, then I obviously started to find out about the dairy industry and about what happens to produce eggs. So I also lived before in the like, yeah, well, cows produce milks. Just, of course we can, you know, I didn't know, I didn't want to know, I didn't know. But once I knew, I was like, never, ever, ever anymore. So no, I never missed it. And also I think I went vegan at the perfect time, in the sense of like, maybe 20 years ago it was different, but
Yeah.
like I had vegan ice cream, vegan pizza, like everything started to come to the market. So I felt like I had trouble to try to taste everything, because I was writing like a food blog. So I was like, I need to, you know, taste everything so I can tell people about all these amazing plant-based products. So I never like really went through a phase that I was like missing on any kind of food that I was eating before, because everything was already veganized.
I don't want it was the question wasn't if you missed anything, because I don't miss anything either. It doesn't as you, I see the suffering behind it. The question is, was there something that was hard to quit back then when you decided to do it? Was there, because I know for me it was cheese. That was the hardest thing. It took me the longest time to give up cheese, and egg whites to me was
That's
just
so typical,
life.
right?
As a guy that hits the gym, you have to. It's just simple.
Yeah.
It's easy to do. But was there, because I don't miss
Well, at
it
the
now,
time,
thinking about it, I don't miss it. Ugh, I
yeah.
would need that. No. But
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I got your question wrong then.
It's okay.
Yeah, at the time I was consuming a ton of, do you know what's quark?
No. What's that?
Probably your listeners don't know that either. Like no one knows. Like it's a big thing in Finland. So quark is like yogurt, but it's more thick. It's like a protein-rich, thick dairy product, and it's really rich in protein. And that was something that I was eating a lot, because that was like the easiest way to get your proteins in. So I was at some point probably consuming like half a kilo to a kilo of that a day. I was like known in our sports university, like people knew me as the quark girl, because I loved it, because it's like, it doesn't have any sugar. It's like macro wise, it was the perfect product, even though it doesn't taste that amazing. But I was just like all gains. So I was eating so much quark that when I went vegan, I was like, shit, how am I gonna replace this? So that was, I think, kind of the biggest thing that I was relying on as protein wise. But then as soon as I learned the dairy products, the dairy industry, I was like, I didn't have any trouble of just letting go of it and just like being done with it.
We call it Greek yogurt. We have that thing too.
No, it's different. The Greek
it's
yogurt
not the same
is
thing?
much more fatty. No. You have to Google quark. Quark is like really low in fat. I don't know how they make it, but it's a little bit more sour. It's not that like, it doesn't taste that well unless you put something, you know, jam or something on it. But I was like hardcore and eating it like that. So, or hardcore, that's what I thought. I thought I was eating clean, unless I learned a better way. But yeah, that was probably the kind of biggest thing that I had to replace.
Do you to this day get questioned? Because you say you do diets for people, especially women. Do you get questioned about the ratio of protein to carbs that you get in mostly vegan diet? Because most people, like me, I don't eat tofu. Like that's no good for. I'll eat it every now and then if I go to the restaurant. I'm a big fan of Thai food, so if they have it in there, that's fine by me. But if you eat a lot of beans or beans product, you're looking at 1 to 3, like 1 gram of protein for every 3 gram of carbs, or give or take 1 4, maybe one protein for 4 gram of carbs. Do people question that? Do people are people worried about eating too much carbs?
All the time. Like I
Yeah.
literally, like when like, you know, like I get constantly girls writing me if I eat carbs, which I just find mind blowing. Like our system has managed to brainwash people so much with the protein lie and with how bad carbs are, that people are still, especially women, like freaking out of the idea that they have to eat like carbs. I'm like, I live like it's more like it's the main source of energy. It's like evolution wise, that's what the perfect food for us is fruits. Like if we compare ourselves, like people like to compare themselves as lions, but we're closer to apes. So yeah, like I get constantly asked about it. And of course, like protein plays a big role in like building muscle and even weight loss and performance and that, but it's not that hard to consist a diet, especially if you are like, yeah, if you're building muscle, you need to eat a caloric surplus anyway. So it's easier to get the proteins in. Of course, if there's like a really low calorie diet and like a weight loss, then there needs to be a little bit more like attention paid to how to keep the calories low and the proteins high. But it's really easy to do nowadays. Like, well, you said you don't really like tofu, but like soy products are really rich in protein. I don't have anything against like organic soy products. So yeah, and you know, tempeh and seitan and stuff like that. It's like once you know how to do it, it's quite simple and easy.
I'm a big fan of tempeh. Big fan of tempeh, but seitan is love to make my own. Love that stuff. The
So good, hey.
if you know how to cook, yes. If you know how to cook. It is
But that's the
harder
thing,
though.
right? But
Yeah.
that's like people say also like, oh, like tofu doesn't taste like anything, or tempeh, or like whatever. But chicken breast also doesn't taste like anything, or steak. Like if you don't cook it well, it tastes good because people flavor it with plants. Like that's just my opinion. Like once you learn how to make it properly, it's like you can make seitan so meat-like that meat eaters wouldn't even know the difference. But it's just like, of course, if you just eat raw or just a cooked chicken breast, tastes like shit.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I'm gonna have to say that I never thought about it. Chicken doesn't taste like anything either. I've ate chicken twice a day for years and it tastes nothing. It's true.
Yeah,
I
that's
never
what I
thought
mean,
about
right?
it. Yeah, it is
Yeah.
absolutely true. It's the way you cook it, absolutely.
And it's plants that make it taste good anyway.
So not only does your chicken taste like your chicken tastes like shit normally, you need plants to make it better. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
I like it.
well, that's
I
just
like
how
it.
it is.
I'm
I
gonna
mean, I
steal
don't know
that one.
anyone who, yeah, go ahead. I don't know anyone who eats their, you know, meat without flavoring it anyhow, or at least without cooking it. Like, I don't know anyone eating their meat raw. So,
What's the when women approach you to retain your services, they know you're plant-based, or does that come later? Because I'm how does that work? Do they approach you because you're vegan? Do they get to you, you say you're vegan, they're like, what the hell is going on? How?
so my brand is called like I'm all over the social media as the
Yeah.
Vegan CrossFit Girl. So the
Mm-hmm.
first thing people know is that I'm vegan and I do CrossFit. So that's like, and then they see, you know, my picture, they see I'm fit, they see I'm a coach. So they come to me often for that very reason, that they want a coach who is vegan, who knows how to coach vegans, and who is into fitness, because that's becoming more and more coaches come to the market. But still, unfortunately, especially as I said, in the CrossFit world, it's still a lot like macro focused, in the sense of like, if you're vegan, you have to compromise on your performance and your physique goals. And like people obviously who are vegan, they don't want to work with someone like that. So then they rather search an expert who knows how to actually do the plant-based diet correctly. So yeah, often the women come to me for that very reason, that I'm coaching vegans and that I'm vegan myself.
Are they vegan, most of them, before, or do they become vegan as they follow your advices? How does that work?
It it's a mix actually. Like when I start like thinking, do I wanna just cut only vegans? I was like,
Yeah.
no, because I also want to work with women who are willing to become plant-based or even just more plant-based. Like I don't have a requirement that you have to be vegan or you have to become vegan, but we don't advise on any sort of animal diets and animal products. So they know, like when I do the intake calls, I'm like, we can only work together if you're willing to, at least for the time being, when I coach you, to like eat as we tell you to eat, like to be open to plant-based diets. But yeah, I don't really get that often that someone would not be willing, because as said, like they see I'm a vegan coach, so that's mostly one of the reasons that they want to work with me as well. But yeah, as long as I can help women even just learn more about, if they're interested to learn how to eat more plants, they don't have to become fully vegan, but that's already like always a win to help someone to eat a healthy plant-based diet and show them how they can thrive. And then it's up to them, of course, like after we stop working together, if they're going to continue on that or not.
What's the number one thing they tell you? So for the customer, for the clients that you have that weren't vegan, after they become vegan, what's the first thing they tell you? What's the first surprise that they have after changing to a plant-based diet? Because you must get that feedback all the time, right?
Often it's kind of a surprise how good plant foods are, and how not hard it is, like how easy it actually is. Obviously we provide also meal plans, so it's quite simple to just follow our recipes and just just eat this and you'll be fine. And then yeah, so often they are like really positively surprised on just, first of all, like the taste and how simple it is and how they actually can get enough protein. And then as what I experienced as well, like increased energy levels, and like seeing for themselves how good you can feel. Honestly, I have more women who are already plant-based who I work with than
Yeah.
who go from totally not being vegan at all into being vegan. That's more rare, but sometimes I have that as well. So yeah, it's mostly just like experimenting for themselves, because we can tell people as much as we want about how amazing you're going to feel, but unless people experience it themselves, it's a
Mm.
different thing.
You keep on saying we. Who are you referring to? You keep
Oh
on
no, I
saying.
meant I meant like we, like you and me, like we
Uh,
can
uh,
tell
uh, uh,
people. But when
okay,
I
okay.
say we, I work with a plant-based dietitian as well. Like I have coaches in my team, so it's teamwork.
Ah, but that's good. That you have to recognize your team. Too many people take all the benefits from everything without ever thanking the team behind them, right?
Oh no, it's always about like team, and like we is also like my partner, my fiance, and like it's always a combination. I believe like we are the people spend the most time with. Like we're a combination, the average of the five closest people, right? So it's really important that you surround yourself with the right people.
Are you? Do you mind if I ask something personal since you're bringing up your fiance in the question
Of
in the
course, go
topic?
ahead.
Right? He's obviously vegan. I can't see you not be dating a vegan. Is he? Does he compete? Does he do CrossFit too? Is he? Because I've seen
He is
some pic.
hardcore.
Oh yeah, is
He
he?
does CrossFit. He does CrossFit. He's crushing it in CrossFit. And he just recently started training for the Ironman as well. And he's crushing it in CrossFit. And not only just started Ironman on the side, which usually when you start doing a lot of endurance, like usually, your lifts and stuff like that goes down. But no, he's just crushing it in both. And he's like the professionals in the Ironman, he's coaching that, they're like constantly surprised, like how can you be so freaking good, like you just started and you're freaking doing weightlifting and CrossFit on the side. So he's training like 3 times a day, he's like crushing it, and fully just on plants obviously. So that's also like why we believe in this thing so hard, because we live it and breathe it ourselves, and we are inspiring so many other people through example. Like, look, you can be an athlete full time, you can crush it, and you don't need animal proteins for it.
So endurance, I've noticed over the years, like I watch a lot of documentaries, I watch a lot of videos, and it seems like endurance wise, veganism is crushing it. Like, I'm going to use your expression, but it seems for some reason endurance athletes that are vegan are just killing it in endurance. And I'm not sure why. Do you know the reason why? I've never researched it, but can you explain it?
I think there's many factors that contribute to that. As I mentioned at the start, like animal proteins are really high inflammatory foods.
Of course.
So when the body is more alkaline, it thrives easier. It's into a thrive diet. So you're able to recover quicker. And if we think of endurance sports, what is the main factor that's going to make you better is you have to train more, because it doesn't.
True.
It's not enough that you go 3 times 30 minutes to the gym. Like you literally have to train hours and hours and hours, because that's what the top is doing. Like you have to be able to perform for so big of a volume. So the more you can optimize your recovery, which is obviously a lot due to your diet, the more you can train. So when you eat plant foods and your body is alkaline and it's recovering, and you are not putting any saturated fats and antibiotics and hormones and all the bad stuff that comes together with animal protein that people don't think about, like you're just optimizing your body to recover and perform. So I think that's like probably the main reason. And also because when you don't get all those, like animal products also contain more fats and like saturated fat and cholesterol. So when your body is not puffy, when you don't get that extra kind of, weight on you, how much easier it is to be an endurance athlete when you are muscular, but you don't have any excess weight. So that's also big benefits on a plant-based diet. That's easy to maintain a lean body and perform without carrying extra weight on you.
So let me ask you this. I think I normally run my podcast for about an hour, 15 minutes, but I'm going to try to keep them shorter. But I always ask a question, and I just thought about a question right now. So I'm going to put you on the spot a bit, but it's not that on the spot. I'm just making it up right now. But if
you're making me scared now.
No, don't be. Normally, normally the podcast I normally run, I ask all my guests if they could talk to their 14-year-old self, what would they tell them? That puts a lot of people on the spot. So you know what? I'll ask you the question, then I'll ask you one more after that I just thought of. If you could speak to your 14-year-old self, what would you tell her?
I would tell her to take it easy. I would tell her that you're enough as you are, and you're doing freaking awesome. So keep doing you.
Keep doing you. I like it. That's the only way to go. Huh? The question I was going to ask you, if you could speak to a meat eater, a meat eater, I don't like to say that, but an omnivore, as you put it earlier. If you could speak to an omnivore that's considering a vegan diet, what would you tell them to change their mind? Like to convince them that they should get away from the meat and just go plant-based?
It of course depends a lot on the person. Like what side is it going to be? The ethical side or the environmental side or the health and performance side that I would kind of sense that they would be most interested in. Because for some people, like literally they consider themselves as like big animal lovers whilst they're contributing to the mass killing. So for some of them might be enough to just watch, Dominion or Earthlings, and they might think about things a little bit differently, or even just 30 seconds of slaughter footage. For some people, it wouldn't maybe make that big of a difference, but some people are like really environmentalists and not realizing how the animal agriculture actually is destroying the planet. And then for some people, it probably would be much more about the like personal benefits of what you can achieve, like your health. Like even like I know some people who are like carnivores who literally just only eat basically meats. Yep. And they honestly believe it's healthy. And I'm like, dude, like you're probably going to get a heart attack when you're 50, like if not earlier. Like you're blocking of course I don't tell, like it's not my job to go preach, as you said earlier as well. But if I would have a conversation and they would honestly want to listen to what I know about diets, that would probably be a factor. Like bringing to awareness that animal protein is much more than animal protein. It has bad cholesterol, saturated fats, often antibiotics, hormones, and what it does inside the body. You can look freaking, like people don't realize fit doesn't mean healthy. You can look freaking fit, muscular, and have abs, but people don't see what's in your body. Like your arteries might be like about to explode. Your heart might be about to get a heart attack. So that's something to remember as well. Like you can't see those things on the outside unless it actually happens and you start getting those health problems. So yeah, it depends on the person, but one of those three I would go with.
That's a good answer, because most people are too stuck on one single aspect of what's good about eating a plant-based diet. And it's good to be able to read people, to tell them, okay, that person probably will go for the performance or will go for the environmental, or even, I don't know, a lot of people, I have a lot of friends that are hunters. You're not going to get them on killing animals. They do it. It doesn't matter. And they do it themselves. So that doesn't impact them, but maybe telling them that performance wise is the way to go, who knows. But that's good to be able to see the difference go. Good for you. I always thought, though, if you can, I think we could fix a lot of the problems if people that eat meat would have to kill their own food. Instead of having the separation of paying a meat industry to do it for you. You would just say, here's the knife, you want a steak, here's the cow, go for it.
Yeah, definitely. Because that's one thing, Nico, as well. Like I have constant conversations with people who are saying things like eating animals, it's natural and it's the way we're supposed to eat. But then like they wouldn't even think of killing their foods. But not only that, they're not willing to see how the food is made. Like they don't,
Yep.
I'm like, okay, well, would you watch this slaughterhouse video? I don't want to see it too. You don't show it to me. You're so extreme. No, I'm not extreme. This is just how your food is made. Like if you can't see yourself, like how your food is produced, like you're just, not living really what you preach. Like if it's so natural, it should be totally natural. We should have it on in my opinion, in the meat package when you buy it in the supermarket, instead of putting a cartoon happy cow on it. We should actually put like tobacco is having to do now, put the actual real pictures and see what people would think in that case.
It would change a lot of people's views if they have to either listen to those slaughterhouse. I know for me it was Earthlings, old school video, old school documentary. That is hard to watch and tell yourself that eating meat is okay. I know for me, not happening. But yeah, listen, it's I like the way you think. Good for you. You've been at it for a while, I can tell. So you're good at convincing people, aren't you?
I don't even need to convince people. I'm doing me, and I believe in it so strongly, because that's the thing. Like there is zero like downside in it. I'm so strongly living my values. I believe so strongly that abusing and killing animals for food or for anything is wrong. And I strongly stand behind it in a loving, compassionate way, but I stand behind it. And if someone doesn't agree with me, I can have a conversation, but usually the conversation always ends to a point that the other party doesn't have kind of excuses or things to say anymore, because it just goes to a dead end. And then it's up. Sometimes people are like, okay, literally Tui, I don't have any excuses, I'm going to try this vegan thing. Or they just keep believing in happy animal farms or whatever, and they keep doing their thing. And that's fine. Like I'm not like, I can't go further than that, but I'm always happy to have a constructive conversation with anyone who wants to have a chat on it.
Love to see it. Love to be a fly on the wall. Love to see it. Most people will call you extreme because they don't have any comeback, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's we live in a hypocritical world, unfortunately. We'd rather pay somebody to do the killing for us, unfortunately.
Yeah. What I want to add to that though is like, I don't blame the individuals. Like I used to be in the very same system for over 20 years myself. Like it's built in a way that it's so easy for an individual to stay ignorant and to think it's normal and to like be convinced and to, justify it. But now we are coming to the edge though, that as Western people, I think it's harder and harder to pretend or to not know. Like it's coming to the era that information is so much in our face that it's like hard to say like, oh, I had no clue. Like, of course, there's still a lot of people like that, but I think it's changing in the world now a lot, that the information is like, even just because what's happening to the planet, like we can't pretend another 50 years, like we have to take action or something's going to happen. So I think it's just inevitable that things are going to have to change, and hopefully it's going to be in like a positive way rather than like through like a lot of restrictions and a lot of like fighting and negativity. But yeah, I think it's just it's the raising awareness that's going to allow people to make conscious decisions, so that the pushy vegans don't have to come tell you how you live your life, but you actually realize that yourself, like, no shit, the system is fucked up, I don't want to contribute to that anymore. But it's so easy to just play with the system if you actually don't know. So that, yeah, that's just one thing that I don't blame the individuals, but as soon as you start knowing, I think it's also your individual responsibility to take action, because so many people are just blaming fingers to the politics and like waiting for governments to do something, but they are in the system. They're like getting profit out of the system. They won't change unless the people are going to change and demand something different.
It is, people don't understand a simple principle that's called purchasing power, right? You can make all the legislations in the world, but if people are not convinced, it's not going to happen. You just need to put your mouth where your money is. So if you want to make vegan a thing, just make sure people buy products that are vegan. And fortunately for us, they're everywhere now. It's not like it was 10 years ago when I stopped eating meat. It is not the same game at all. It has completely changed.
And
there's not a lot of excuses.
Exactly. I think that's the beauty in it as well. Like when you realize the power of an individual, like when you switch your mindset from, oh, it's just a drop in the ocean, it's not going to make a difference. Like I believe the ripple effect, like, I believe like I probably contributed, not that I'm taking any credit on it, but just like neutrally, I probably helped like over hundreds, so not maybe even 1,000 people go vegan or more plant-based, and then the ripple effect just grows. So, and not only like that, but like every single meal you eat, and we often eat 3 to 5 meals a day, most people in the Western world, every single meal you vote, you either impact to the positive or to the negative. You either pay money for something that is in your values and that is good for the planet, or better for the planet at least, that is good for the animals, and that might be better for your health and performance. Of course, you can eat also really unhealthy as a vegan, but the point is like every single meal, so several times a day, you vote. As you said, the wallet is how you vote. It's not really like the politicians who are going to make the difference. So when you realize the power of an individual and how much you can actually impact only with your individual choices, and then of course how you inspire others and inform others, it's just quite cool. Like you realize that you can do a lot.
Beautiful way. I'm gonna finish it there. That's a beautiful, beautiful way to finish it. You really make choices with your money. You will impact the world that way.
Definitely, definitely.
Anything you want to say at the end? Anything you want to finish on?
Well, if I always say, like, if anyone is there on the edge or already vegan or just wants to have a chat, my inbox is always open. So you can come find me on Instagram, the Vegan CrossFit Girl, and you can always message me and we can chat about if you need some support, if you need some help, just shoot me a message and I'm happy to help you with that.
And I can attest to that. I didn't know her. I didn't know Tui at all. I messaged her on Instagram. She responded, and here we go. So she's telling the truth. You can actually contact her and she'll respond to you.
Always.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me, Nico. It was a pleasure.
Pleasure is all mine, believe me.